Mary Aldred. I'm an assistant professor in the Center for Earth and Environmental Sciences at SUNY Plattsburgh. And I'm here in Manhattan working with my collaborators at CUNY Baruch College, Colby College, and Loyola University in Chicago. And we're sampling some local marshes to learn how the mutualism between ribbed mussels and marsh grasses influences the ability of marshes to clean the water. So what we're doing in this project is we're looking at how this mutualism functions within urban ecosystems. And New York City is a perfect place to study urban ecosystems. In marshes all along the east coast of the United States, they're really dominated by the species called Spartina alterniflora. It's a marsh grass. And it lives in a mutualism, in a lot of cases, with a ribbed mussel, Eukincia demissa. And this mutualism allows the species to grow better in the area where they grow, and in some cases it can allow them to grow in places that they wouldn't be able to grow without their mutualist, and that's really common of mutualisms. Spartina is a clonal grass, which means it kind of grows and spreads out from its root system, and it gives the mussel a place to attach, because mussels have planktonic larvae, which means when they're babies they swim around in the water column, and when they become adults they have to attach somewhere. So the plants give them a perfect place to attach, and the canopy of the plants can actually help the mussel resist desiccation or drying out. So it shades them a little bit, it protects them from some of the harmful rays of the sun, and they don't dry out as quickly as they would if the plants weren't there. In turn, the mussels can kind of stabilize the sediment surface. They attach using byssal threads, which are just kind of like really flexy fingernails that they can grow really fast and attach to the surface of the sediments, and that'll help prevent some sediment erosion. And the other thing they do is they suspension feed, so they'll siphon particles out of the water column and they'll poop on the sediment surface, and that poop actually acts as a fertilizer for the plants. So it transfers all of these nutrients that are up in the water column down to the marsh surface so the plants can use them to grow.
We're really interested in understanding how species interactions can drive ecosystem services in restoration projects. So when we restore habitat, how can we restore it in a way that's going to maximize benefits to the ecosystem, for ecosystem health in particular? Historically, when we restore salt marshes, we put out the plants, and we make the assumption that over time, as the marsh develops, the other organisms will come. We don't know what the benefits would be to go ahead and go through the extra effort of not only planting salt marsh grasses, but planting rib mussels that live with the salt marsh grasses. Add more to project costs, it's going to take more time. Our previous work demonstrates that adding the mussels is going to increase the amount of nitrogen removal you get from the marshes. And so there's sort of the basic science element, and then there's the applied science element. And I think that's an important part of our work. A lot of our work is really about trying to inform managers, trying to make ecosystem restoration projects more efficient, more productive.
So in these buckets here, we have water that we collected in the field at Randall's Island. The buckets and all of the cores that we collected are sitting in this recirculating water system, and it's connected to a chiller and some heaters, so we're keeping all of these at exactly the temperature that they were experiencing in the field. So the site water is being pumped into the cores. Coming in this inflow here, and this is one of the cores that we collected from a mussel plot. So you can see this little mussel down here is actually opening and actively siphoning right now. And from these cores we have outflows that are running into these collection cups. And what we'll do is we'll take this water and we'll filter it, and we'll use it to measure water chemistry. So we're seeing what effect the cores that either have mussels or don't have mussels have on water quality.
It's a real treat, I would say, to be able to study these restored systems where we have a very clear timeline of what has happened. You know, it was restored in year X, and we sort of have documentation of it over time. So I think, just in and of itself, there's real value in continuing to study these projects as they mature. it's documented all over the world that the more people that live in an area, the more nitrogen enters waterways in that region. So as we're trying to understand all the ways that people impact their environments, we know that nutrient pollution is one of the big ones.
How I could be a scientist, to ask questions, to work on projects that really benefited the community where I was living, and sought to understand where this pollution's coming from and how we can best try to work with the environment to improve the overall condition for the natural world and for my fellow community members. So for me, that just involved being curious and looking at the river, looking at the forest, and thinking, why is this happening? Why is this here? How could we do something better? And once you ask those questions, you can get involved really in any way that you want.
You start with your local parks, because Randall's Island is a great example, right? If there's a place that you go with your family and you walk around and you enjoy going there, odds are there is somebody working in that park who wants to hear how much you enjoy it and who will help you get involved with community events and help you learn more, and help, if you're a student and you're wanting to go into research, perhaps help you find people that you can connect with who are going to be able to help you get your career going and just get involved in doing science.
It's really a state of mind. It's about wanting to engage with the environment through the connections that already exist in your community. And if you just kind of ask around, stay open-minded, stay curious, and think, what can I do? How can I help? There will be a role for you.